This video will explain why you should be interested in submitting data to the HIG MSI through the MSI Contributor. Our vision for the future is a common language around material sustainability that will reduce redundant data requests of material vendors, is critical for product labeling efforts, and can reduce significant industry impact. We believe that this common language can be used and scaled throughout the industry. If a common language for material sustainability doesn't exist, environmental impacts of materials can't be compared or interpreted in a consistent way. Brands are getting pressure to communicate impacts of their products. To understand those impacts, they need to gather extensive data from manufacturers. Manufacturers are often frustrated by these time-intensive data requests from various parties. Once brands have the data, calculating impacts through lifecycle assessment is extremely resource-intensive, and unless every LCA uses the same methodology, the results aren't comparable to those of other products. This data collection, assessments, interpretation, and analysis is difficult for all parties involved, but is becoming more and more necessary with pressures from stakeholders, competition, and government regulations. The SAC is addressing this issue by collecting data from the industry for the industry. Not only is it collecting data, but it is running environmental assessments from this data so that you don't have to. This work is unprecedented, but leaders in this industry have been working over the past few years to determine how it can work for the apparel, footwear, and home textile industry. This affects material vendors by reducing the amount of data demands and differentiating your materials for the industry. This affects brands, academic institutions, and others because it provides access to a large amount of relevant data that can give you insights about how to reduce impacts of your products. The Material Sustainability Index, or MSI, is a cradle-to-gate index using a life cycle assessment approach to engage product design teams in the global supply chain of apparel and footwear products in environmental sustainability. Cradle-to-gate means from raw material production or extraction to a finished material that's ready to be assembled into a product. The MSI was originally developed by Nike, and in 2012, it was adopted by the Sustainable Apparel Coalition and incorporated into the HIG Index. Over the past few years, SAC has been working to mature this index into a tool that can provide value for the whole industry. So, why should you be interested in contributing data to the MSI? If you are a manufacturer, you can find value in contributing data. Instead of different brands, retailers, or other stakeholders asking you for a lot of detailed information, they can go directly to the MSI to see sustainability results for your materials production. If you produce a sustainable material, you can show that in the MSI and have your sustainability efforts publicly recognized. Also, understanding impacts of your material production through data is very time-consuming and expensive. Instead of conducting those assessments yourself, SAC will do it for you for a fraction of the cost in a way that is consistent with other materials, so it's easy to compare results. And you can be confident that the creation of an MSI score from your data uses methodology that is scientifically sound. SAC used expertise from its members as well as third-party lifecycle assessment experts to determine a methodology that produces meaningful results for the intended users. These intended users are often product designers who need a single score to make a quick decision about which materials to use in their products. SAC also kept manufacturers' needs in mind for data submission by allowing them to submit data that they have available for specific production stages in their control. In addition, all data submitted goes through a thorough review process to make sure that it is correct and high quality. The outcome is an MSI that is third-party verified and uses a credible approach. Sometimes MSI users want to compare basic materials, like a generic cotton to a generic polyester. But others want to compare more specific materials, like a conventional cotton woven dyed fabric without a finish to an organic knitted cotton with a water repellent finish. The MSI allows users to customize materials based on what processes or specifications are available in the MSI. Data submissions for individual processes allows for this materials customization and enables directional guidance for reducing material impacts. The MSI Contributor is where anyone may submit material production data to review and use in SAC product tools, like the MSI. So, are you a material vendor who wants to show the industry how your material is more sustainable? Or do you have a completed materials lifecycle assessment and want this information to be widespread? Or are you a raw material producer who has data on common farming practices? This is a tool you can leverage to share your information and encourage the value chain to use that information in decision-making around materials. One of the ultimate pathways in which this data is used is in the HIG MSI user interface. This tool is meant to provide transparency to MSI scores and methodology. If you're an academic, a sustainability expert, or even on a design team, this tool can open your eyes to a variety of material impacts. You can leverage the information in different ways to get a clear understanding of what is causing different types of material impacts and different production processes that can be used to reduce those impacts. This is what the MSI looks like. The material categories are shown here on the left. The selected category is textiles, which are shown in your material library. You can also see the default production processes used to generate an MSI score for those textiles. In the MSI, a lower score is better. You can think the lower the score, the lower the impact. And there are visuals in the tool to help you remember that. You can see a breakdown of the MSI score by impact, and even sort by those impacts if you're specifically interested in water scarcity, land use, climate change, etc. It's also in this tool where you can swap in and out the specific production processes for a material to get a more accurate score. This list can grow to include more and more options and scores for different types of, in this case, cotton dyeing. And you can swap in and out those different options to make this textile what is more representative of the material that you're actually using and you're actually interested in. Since the MSI is a cradle-to-gate index, it doesn't consider impacts from material use, like laundry, or durability or recyclability at the end of its life into consideration. However, there are other tools, like the HIG Design and Development Module, or DDM, that leverages the MSI and is available to SAC members. The DDM is a product tool meant to score designs and educate designers and developers about decisions they can make to improve the sustainability of a product. It also prepares organizations to start thinking about different kinds of impacts that will be addressed in publicly communicated scores from the HIG footprinting tool in the future. Brands will be major users of the footprinting tool. The value of these tools for brands is that the MSI provides a scalable way to understand their material vendors' sustainability production efforts. Using this scoring system, brands can make more informed and better decisions around materials and product development. They can also use the MSI as a common language to assess innovations and give them a competitive edge. Learn more about the HIG MSI, how to submit data, and what happens to your data under the Learn More in the banner of this tool.